Welcome to the community meeting of Kiali. In this community meeting, we are going to talk about what we are going to ship in the version 1.37. That is according to Sprint 59. So we are moving the agenda to be a more open agenda. So the idea is also to remind what are the community discussions in the team. Also, we will continue with some highlights of what we will ship in the version 1.37. Today we will have Hike and also me doing a couple of lightning demos. And we will move to more the open question. If someone from the community joins and would like to propose some topic. Just a reminder that we will announce 1 week before this meeting, and also we create a discussion to allow everyone just to add questions, topics that they want to cover, anything, right? All right, so thank you everyone for participating in the community discussions. I guess that this has a lot of activity. That is really good. That is what we created the discussions. I think that the plan will be to keep the discussion open at least another sprint in more free format, and after that we see that some of the discussion are consolidating, getting consensus, and we will start, the team leads will start to create epics in some of the areas that have been discussed, right? That is the plan, but for the next sprint, I think that we will keep the discussion open to comment on these high-level topics on the roadmap. Let's continue with the Sprint 59 highlights. Again, all our activity is in the GitHub project. So we did a small change in the layout of the Kanban project. We tried to put the epics column between the backlog and in progress, just like a regular issue. But now GitHub has updated the multitask issues, and it's more clear when someone is an epic, and you can filter in an easy way, in any way. So you can see the activity of what we have closed, of what we have merged, etc. And again, what we plan is in the backlog, and you can see what things are in progress, what are the issues that I'm currently working on. Also, just to give an idea of all the issues that we closed on this sprint, you can query with the issue filter, right? And we can see that we continue to doing more enhancements, right? New features that are interesting provided by the user, but also we try to balance with bug fixes, right? And to get more stability to the project. So this sprint was one of them that we work more heavily in new features, right? Okay, new feature that you're going to see in Kiali 1.37. So we are again improving the semantic validations. Remember that semantic validation means that when you create a Istio resource, in this case, the virtual services, you can create destination, right? And Kiali, one of the features that it provides is try to identify if this validation exists in runtime. Also to tell the user that, hey, you are adding a gateway that doesn't exist into your namespace or into your system, or this services is also not correctly configured. So yeah, in that case, you will see that now when you personalize the gateways per destination, remember that a virtual service may have a lot of destination within the rules. And if you define a gateway inside that, now you will see that this field is validated against the existing gateways in your system. Okay, another feature that you will see is that into the service details in the network card, we improve with the host names, the DNS host names that are linked with this service from a gateway or a virtual service, right? So when you define a virtual service, typically what you are doing is to try to capture requests that are matching with an external host, right? So now this host is also shown in the details, and also there are some work in progress to show within the graph, but we will show that feature in the next sprint. Okay, so also we will have support custom for injection labels values in the Canary upgrades scenario, but I'm going to give the mic to my colleague Hike you explain this feature better? Hi, I'm going to stop sharing, and you can start sharing when you like.
I started sharing. So this feature is about adding a new feature functionality in Kiali to be able to inject that custom injection labels, which basically is meaning that if you have production Istio on your environment and you have the you have Canary Istio version as well installed on your environment, you can via using Kiali functionality you can switch your namespace from the old Istio to the newer Canary version of Istio and test it there. So the new Canary version Istio's envoys will be injected into the workloads of that particular namespace. This functionality is being done by removing the Istio injection label on that namespace, which basically has priority over other labels, and it says that's Istio IO revision to Canary. I will demo what that feature is doing. So for this feature, first it comes with the configurations on Kiali config map. Within Kiali feature flags, there is a new option added, new parameter called Istio upgrade action. When it is set to true, this functionality is activated, but this functionality, as described in the Kiali operator documentation, is requiring also within the external Istio services these new added parameters, Istio Canary revision, where it requires to specify the current revision of Istio, which basically is the tag which is installed. In my case, this is production, and also the upgrade, the Canary version of the Istio. So once these parameters are set, in the overview page, this new functionality, this new action appears, and as you can see, the old actions which are to inject, remove injection, auto injection, this old functionality related to this Istio injection actions are removed, not to make a confusion. So here we have the old label Istio injection enabled, which has a priority, and so if we make a upgrade to Canary revision, the label will be changed, the old label will be removed, and this new Istio IO revision Canary, this new label will come. So here, if the workloads deployments of this namespace will be restarted, the new sidecar, the Canary Istio sidecar will be injected on that. But this is not done automatically. So it needs manual interaction. Either user should do it manually, or it should be done via from Kiali UI. So and I will show you one more thing, that it is also possible to downgrade to production version revision. When you downgrade, it still keeps the same label Istio IO revision, and it puts it to production. This is the new label which works, and the old label is actually it's the deprecated one, Istio injection disabled, but it has a priority over the new labels. So that was this functionality, and if I disable this action, restart Kiali core, you can see that the old functionality, disable auto injection and remove auto injection is there, and the new functionality is not shown. So here, question to community is that without restarting the deployments of this namespace, the pods will not be affected. Only labeling namespace is not affecting. So the question is whether Kiali itself should redeploy these workloads from UI or from backend, because the thing is that there is not one action, like one command to redeploy all the workloads for this namespace. It needs to go by deployment in a loop, and then deploy it, which will take some time, and it's risky action in a scope of transactions. So the question is how to do it, or do it in this way, or leave user to do it from the command line. So this feature is ongoing, and further investigation and development needs to be done for that workloads redeployment. So that's it.
All right. Thank you very much, Heike, for your presentation, and thank you also for making the question for the community. So yeah, it's something that I guess that this feature is in active development. On all the feedback from the user would be really great to set the direction that we would like to make.
I will stop my sharing.
All right. So let me to share again. I guess that you can continue. Okay, so let's continue with more features that you will see in Kiali 1.37. A new feature that you will see is that we link the Istio resources also in the list pages. Before, we only link the Istio resources in the details, and this new addition is quite handy, especially, for example, when you have a lot of namespace and you would like to identify which resources are with which application, right? So this is one of the features you can order to see, okay, this application has a lot of Istio resources, and also you may want to filter, okay, show me all the authorization policies, or show me only the destination rules, the resources with destination rules, or for example, on other specific. So, this filtering is going to be quite handy when you are working, especially with multiple namespace in some scale situation that you want to link in a quick view without entering into details which resources are linked with which Istio resources, right? Okay, so another feature that we've been working on, or a feature, a regression that we try to address in this version, is that in the previous version, we moved the custom dashboard definition instead to have a specific CRD, the monitoring dashboard CRD that we need to install separately. So we consolidated this configuration in the Kiali CR, right? So that's good. So when you have a custom dashboard, so you can define in a single place in Kiali CR. So one of the things that we didn't cover in the past sprint is when the user may want to personalize this custom dashboard per a specific namespace or per a specific workload. So just to refresh this feature to the user is that, for example, if I have, let me to open my Prometheus, and I may have in my Prometheus another metrics that I would like to combine with all the telemetry and all information that Kiali is offering, right? So in that case, for example, the user can configure scenarios like this. I can go to this, okay. I was in the back. Okay, now it should work. Okay, so now I can combine in the details. In addition to the box metrics or the ship metrics that are addressed by Kiali, that are reflecting to the Istio telemetry that is collecting like inbound, outbound metrics right? Yeah, now we can also to add a specific telemetry defined by the user that is typically defined from the runtimes, but it could be anything that you want to bring here, right? So this is something that, okay, sorry, I have some problems in my environment today. So it's something that you can personalize at this level, and a namespace can have a specific template of what you want to show. But also one thing that you can personalize, we get feedback from the users, is that they may want to add a specific tab metrics here, right? So how to do that? So this can be done at the deployment level. So you can see in the deployment level that you may define here the specific settings for, okay, what to scrape for this runtime. So now at this level, you can add a specific annotation like this to define a new template that you want to show under this workload. So let me to use this in an example. I'm going to go to a console. Probably I won't share my console, but just I'm going to edit deployment. Okay, let me get the deployments. I'm going to edit the Quarkus deployments. Quarkus. Okay, now I'm going to copy this dashboard. Okay, and now this is a dashboard that is going to just get this specific metrics, for example, the garbage collector of the Java virtual machines. I think is this. So, this is one metric that is not, it's not part of the Istio one, is available in your server. And now you can see that this metric is here, right? So you can easily, in the deployment, to say, okay, personalize this one or this particular workload. The interesting thing now is that we can personalize to 3 levels. By default, to tell Kiali in the CR all the templates that are available. Also per namespace. A namespace, for example, may share several templates, or, for example, in this case, I have this template here, but also this new template, the garbage collector, is just focused for this particular deployment. This is one of the new features that you will see in this version. Okay, we have other fixes and improvements that I think that my colleague Edgar, if he's here. Edgar, are you around? Okay. Okay, so would you like to comment on this one?
Yes, it's something that can be very fast, quite quickly. So, I mean, these are minor improvements, but it doesn't mean that they are not important. The first one is about support for molecular tests. This is more about our testing infrastructure, about how we are doing testing. This is helping us to cover a few more, another different environment, because sometimes you might be using the operator lifecycle manager in Kubernetes, and this is helping us to validate when you are using this operator lifecycle manager in plain Kubernetes, because OpenShift is where normally we find this manager. But you can install it also in plain Kubernetes or any Kubernetes flavor that you have, and you can take advantage of it. And this is helping us to validate this kind of environments. And the second one is just an issue that we have when upgrading from older versions of Kiali. Here we say 1.32 to 1.36. There was a labeling issue that was preventing Kiali to work properly, because it was affecting the exposure of the Kiali services. There was a fix to it. I think that it was included in the last patch release of 1.36, if I'm not wrong. So that will help you to have a more transparent upgrade experience from older versions. The third point is, well, I'm not sure if you can show that in your screen, Lucas, this log space, just for clarity. But yes, there was a small issue in the logs tab, in the work logs detail page, where when in certain cases you were seeing duplicated or the same container of a pod or of a workload in the log space, so it was duplicating some data or some options in that. That was fixed. We hope that it used a small bug fix. The fourth point, well, this is a little more for users that are using OpenID authentication, because, well, it's quite well known that in some organizations they are using internal certificate authorities, and, well, it's not desirable to disable certificate verification if you are using some certificate authority internally. So this new option for the OpenID authentication lets you set up in Kiali the root certificate of your authority server, so that Kiali properly validates any certificate in the OpenID servers. This is very particular to the OpenID authentication. We also have similar option for, you can say for your Prometheus server or your Grafana server, if you have them available. But yes, OpenID was lacking this option, and it was just added for this release. And in the last point, this is just a small amendment because of an issue that a user was having recently. Well, because there are some services that use the kube prefix in the namespaces. Also, Kubernetes itself is using some special namespaces for its own infrastructure that start with the kube prefix. And Kiali is by default hiding those namespaces. But yes, there was an issue with a user that, well, had a benign services and was being hidden in Kiali, and the only difference is that his service didn't have a hyphen or a hyphen as part of the prefix, and, well, Kiali was hiding that namespace, which wasn't desirable. So this is a small change in the operator, so that we only hide namespaces that start with the kube prefix with a hyphen, and, well, that's the change. And that's about it about this slide. Nothing to show really in Kiali itself, but yes, just commenting on it.
Thank you very much, Edgar, for that date. I guess it's also interesting to tell to the user what they will see. Okay, so that was for the highlights. To start the open agenda, I'm going to stop the recording.